Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So it's Sunday afternoon. It's a great time just to scan the markets, see where prices may be going, see what trends are developing, and just really set ourselves up for the week ahead. So what I always like to do, start with first, is just check, see what news articles will be coming out in the upcoming week. So going to Forex Factory, they give a good list of all the major news articles that might come out of this week, and obviously rank them with high impact to low impact. Now, as we can see, there's not much really coming out this week. The only major impact that might happen on some of the currency pairs is the New Zealand dollar, where there'll be an interest rate announcement. So because they generally come out at silly times in the mornings, I won't have any trades open on the Kiwi at that time, so not likely to be affected. As we can see later in the week, there's just literally nothing happening at all, obviously leading up to a G20 meeting at the end of the week. Again, nothing significant, so it shouldn't really affect the markets too much. So starting with the FTSE 100 index, it's one I like to trade quite a lot. As we can see, it's starting to push a bit higher from where it has been. It's made some significant gains this year, but starting to be a bit more constrained. It's not breaking out to recent highs. If you look at the current spot value, we're seeing the recent high of 6,800 was rejected, and we're obviously now pushing back down to around about the 6,600 level. Now, as we can see, there's a fair bit of support coming through 6,300, so I would expect at some point this to be retested, and obviously if any break onto the upside coming out through 6,700, 6,800, we could see a rise back up to some good highs. Now, most indices are generally take a lot of the momentum from the S&P 500, and as we can see with that particular indices, the major global indices is the S&P 500, and as we can see from this chart here, the price is in a very strong upward trend. It hasn't made too many pullbacks in recent weeks, and obviously making all-time highs and trending higher. Now with the FTSE pulling back a little bit, we can see that's obviously been mirrored by the S&P 500, and I would expect this now to bounce off, break through the 4,000 mark and keep going up, and that will drag the rest of the global indices with it. Moving on to Forex, I always start by looking at the dollar index chart. It's always a good indication of the strength of the currency and might give a clue of where some of the currency pairs are going to head in the next week. We can see that the index has been very weak over the past couple of months, with it making some new lows but not breaking out to the upside at all. So really looking for more dollar weakness in the upcoming week. So looking at the euro here, we can see that it has been moving higher but getting a bit confused with the price. It's not being able to break through the 122 level against the dollar. There was forming a head and shoulders pattern on the daily chart, but it hasn't quite materialized. But again, if we see the support level of 1.19, a break of there could start to see a lot more selling to the downside. If we look at the hourly chart on the euro dollar, we can see that it's starting to trend sideways and not really give much indication of where it's going to go. So for me, I won't be looking to trade this week unless it really starts to show me a bit more characteristics on the 15-minute chart and a clear direction of where it wants to go. So this is the British pound GBP USD. This is a weekly chart, so we can see that it's been gaining a lot of strength recently. In fact, the British pound is the best performing currency against all of the major pairs. And we can see with price breaking out through the 135 mark, it's now breaking out through 140. That gives a clear indication that it could be looking towards getting these recent highs of 144, which if it continues with the strength it's had over the past couple of weeks, I don't see that being too much of a problem. Again, just looking on the hourly chart for the British pound, we can see it's a nice clear uptrend. It's making higher highs and higher lows and looking for this to continue over the next couple of weeks. When I start looking at my entries on the 15-minute chart, again, that's got confirmation from the weekly, daily and hourly chart that we're all in an uptrend. So looking for lots of good buy signals this week on the British pound. So here we have the dollar yen. Now, characteristically, the dollar yen has been in this downward channel, which does reflect by the dollar index. But what is interesting is it has broken out to the upside and starting to make some higher highs and higher lows. So starting to form a new uptrend breaking out through this channel. So a confirmation for me for a buy and a long trade would be breaking from this previous high here, and obviously that then breaks through the previous high of that daily candle and can move back up to potentially this 106.5, 107 level. Again, we can see from the hourly chart on the dollar yen that it is starting to break to the upside quite nicely. It's almost like every time it makes a good surge, it consolidates and pulls back and then breaks again. So looking for this kind of small trend line to be broken. If it breaks through the 105, 106 level, we could see some more momentum to the upside. For me, the dollar yen can be quite a tricky one to trade, but it's always good to watch and keep an eye on how things are moving. Moving on to commodities, here we have the chart for gold on the daily. Now, it is clear that has been this nice downward trend since it broke to the all-time high at the end of last year. Now, when it did break out to the top of this channel, I was quite optimistic of another bull run, but very quickly it did consolidate back into that sort of channel zone, and we now are seeing a consecutive lower lows, lower highs, just to confirm this now is in a downward trend. On the 1 hour chart, it's also quite clear to see that it was quite range bound, especially if you look on a lower time frame. But here we can see when it made the low round about the 1790 mark a couple of weeks ago. It has retested that one this week, broken down, and obviously retested that now as a level of resistance and not broken back through. So that gives me more confidence that we are now looking for short positions on gold going forwards. Just taking a quick look at oil here, we can see it's obviously been trending upward quite nicely with a very small pullback in the past couple of days, but nothing to worry about. I always keep an eye on oil, even though I don't trade it very often, just so I'm aware that if there's going to be another big price spike and a price movement up, I better quickly refill my car with some petrol. Also, with the global events going on at the moment, we're obviously seeing a significant reduction in the amount of global flights going on, and the travel industry is really on its knees. If that does change in the next couple of months and we start flying everywhere, then there's obviously going to be a lot more demand for oil and could potentially see this pushing up to $70 a barrel. So here's a chart on Bitcoin, which obviously again is going crazy at the moment. It just does not want to stop going up. Now when it hit the high of $42,000 per coin, it started to consolidate nicely and pull back down to between 27 and 30,000 where it got a little bit of level of support. For me, I thought it was going to consolidate some more and start trending sideways or even break to the downside back to $20,000. But the market is very strong for Bitcoin at the moment, especially with Elon Musk coming in and buying $1.5 billion worth of the cryptocurrency. And I can see this continuing to strengthen over the next couple of weeks. There is a lot of excitement in cryptocurrency at the moment, and people are talking of $100,000, $300,000. I can't see that personally. I'd like to see it consolidate a bit more before I'm looking to trade this one again. It is significantly overextended from the moving averages or trend line, so therefore I would expect this to consolidate and potentially pull back down to the 50,000 or even 45,000 mark before continuing on another strong run. The more crypto becomes mainstream and is making the news on a regular basis, people start to get caught up on the fear of missing out and therefore want to buy. And that's why we're seeing a huge run up in all cryptocurrencies right now. Just want to touch on a couple of stocks I always like to keep an eye on, not so much for trading but more of a long-term investment to add to my portfolio. Now, Lloyds Banking is one of the favourites of mine. As you can see here, it's starting to come into a zone where sellers may start to come in because obviously touched the 40 pence a share quite often and fallen back down into the 32 pence. If it pulls back down, then I'll be looking to buy this and add to my investment portfolio, but not really one for trading because the price is just so sideways and the movements are quite small and therefore not really what I'd be looking to trade on. Just going to finish up talking about GameStop. We can see there was a huge spike up on all of the rumours and the news coming out just a few weeks ago. But as expected, the price crashed equally as fast. I don't think it was ever going to get up to $1,000 a share, which everyone was talking about. These were just hype. Price is now around about the $40 a share, which is probably its realistic market value in the current economic climate. There are probably loads of people who are caught out on this stock, buying it at $300 to $350 a share, and it just crashed and wiped them out. They're probably going to hold on this forever and hopefully reclaim some of their losses, but I don't ever see this coming back anywhere near the levels it has done, which just goes to show you should buy the rumour and sell the news. Hope you've enjoyed this roundup of a few of the things I'm looking at this week with some major directions and possibly some key levels. If there's anything you want me to have a review and discuss next time, just leave a comment below. Cheers.